Hi, Stampers. Hi, friends. It's Nicole Steele of The Joyful Stamper. I am the owner and designer of The Joyful Stamper. I have my blog, thejoyfulstamper.com, and you'll find me under The Joyful Stamper across all the social media platforms: Pinterest, Facebook, YouTube. Am I forgetting one? Instagram. Yeah. So The Joyful Stamper. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I love to stamp. I love to scrapbook, and I love to share it with everyone who's interested. I think it's a really fun hobby, and this is my job. So it can be a job too. It can be a very fun and very rewarding job. So today we are going to make a card. Oh, my husband's on. Hello, Brian. Must be your lunch hour. So today we're going to make a card, a Christmas card, using the Snowman Season stamp set. There it is. Isn't it cute? I know that we all have a million pattern paper scraps left over from projects and stuff, so we're always looking for ways to use them up. And hello, Mike. And we're always looking for ways to use them up. So I came up with this idea, and it uses 1/2 inch wide scraps. So you can cut them down to size. You can use the littlest bitty scraps too, because I don't know about you, but I have a hard time throwing even the smallest pieces out. Yeah. So you can use those on this card too. So before we get to that though, I thought I would keep you up to date on what is going on in the stamping world. So I added, if you go to my blog, thejoyfulstamper.com, I added a new class, and it's going to be on December 11th. It's called Cookies and Cards. One of the things that my youngest daughter and I like to do together is to bake, and we especially like baking cookies. So I thought, what could be better than to have cards and cookies? So on December 11th, I'm having two sessions, 10 to noon and 7 to 9 at night, and we will make 4 cards. They'll be Christmas cards since it's December, and we'll have a fresh batch of homemade cookies as we stamp. So I hope you can come to that. You can find that on my blog, thejoyfulstamper.com. It does require an RSVP because I have limited spaces for that. So, and I'm still having my Sweet and Simple monthly card class and my 5 Cards of Christmas class at the Swickley Public Library. So if you're in the Pittsburgh area, be sure to join us, and you can check that out on my blog. So the other thing too is if you want to share this video on your personal Facebook page, I would so appreciate that. It helps me run my business. It helps me get the word out. So if you know anyone that would be interested in crafting or stamping, just share this video on your page, and I thank you for that. Also, too, Stampin' Up! Put out a message that they are discontinuing Purple Posy ink, which I know is really sad. It was a beautiful, soft purple color. It came out in June as part of the new 5 in colors that Stampin' Up! Introduces every year. Well, from the beginning, there were problems getting the ink formulation just right. The color would change, so Stampin' Up! Pulled it off the market, went back, spent several months testing it and coming up with a new formula. And this new one just isn't working either. So they've made the hard decision to discontinue selling Purple Posy, but only in the ink refill and the ink pad. You can still get Purple Posy cardstock, you can get Purple Posy ribbon, and you can get Purple Posy Stampin' Blends and Stampin' Write markers. So one trick with the Stampin' Write marker is you can actually color on your stamps with it. So even though you may not be able to use the ink pad anymore or buy the ink pad, you can still stamp with that color. And there's lots of other products Stampin' Up! Sells that will coordinate with Purple Posy. So it's not totally bad news. But that's a message that they put out that I wanted to pass along. And also next weekend, I'm going to be in Las Vegas as part of Stampin' Up's On Stage conventions, and I'm so excited. Number one, I've never been to Las Vegas. Number two, this is only the second on stage I've ever been to, and the first one was pretty fun, I remember. Stampin' Up! Gives out lots of prizes, free stamp sets, lots of make and take projects, and it's all product from the upcoming celebration and occasions catalogs that are going to be released in January. It's a really good time. It's for demonstrators only, and you're with hundreds of other people that are just as crazy about this as you are, so you don't have to feel so strange anymore. It's okay to jump up and down and scream and get excited about this stuff. You're going to be with others who think exactly like you do. So if you think you would like to be a part of this craziness and you would like to come to the next on stage that Stampin' Up has, make sure to email me, Nicole@thejoyfulstamper.com, and we can talk about the reasons why you would want to join Stampin' Up and my team of joyful stampers. I'm happy to talk about it with you. I genuinely love this stuff, and I really want to connect with other people that enjoy this too and that are passionate about it. So that's Nicole@thejoyfulstamper.com, and we can talk about this. I think that's all the news that I have. So we can get right to the demonstration. Yeah, so we are going to start making this card right here, and we are going to use the absolutely adorable Snowman Season stamp set. And it is on page 19 of your Stampin' Up! Holiday catalog. And if you don't have this catalog, make sure you get in touch with me so I can send out a copy to you at no charge. And I'll put a few other goodies in your catalog package too. And you can you have a wish list in there and you can look through it and you can see up close the product suite that I'm going to be using today. And it's called the Let It Snow Suite. Lots of card samples that you can case. They are there for your inspiration. There's nothing wrong with copying exactly what's in this catalog. You can change up the colors if you want, adapt it to what you have on hand. It's really a fun and easy way to get started when your creative mojo is a little bit low, or maybe you're a beginner stamper and you just don't know where to start. This catalog will show you where to start with all the samples that are in it. And it's got samples for the beginner stamper all the way up to the seriously crazy stamper who has a lot and wants to do a lot with it and push her creative boundaries. So again, today, the Let It Snow suite is what I'm going to be using, and it's absolutely adorable. I love it, and I didn't get to start playing with it until this week, and I've gone nuts. I can't stop. I have a pile of projects using this suite, so make sure you watch for it on my blog. I don't know, maybe you'll get tired of seeing it. I did not get tired of playing with it. And I think it's helpful too because you want to use the products you buy. You don't want to just use them once or twice. You want to use them to make a bunch of stuff. So hopefully I can give you lots of ideas for that. But the paper we're going to use, I'll show you the patterns on it. It's really pretty. It's got glitter on it. So we've got some big snowmen on here, and the snowmen all are filled with glitter. And then you've got some red stripes on the back. Reminds me of candy canes. Then we have a tighter snowman pattern. They're so cute. And then we've got like a blizzard of snow on the back here. Now, if you don't know this, the colors in your designer series paper are listed on the chipboard backing that comes with it. So you never have to guess which colors are going to match your designer series paper. It's listed for you. Now, one thing I like to do is when I'm about to order designer series paper, I look at it in the catalog and it lists all the colors. And this piece I cut into already. And it lists all the colors. So I'll check my cardstock stash to make sure that I've got enough of the colors of cardstock that I'll need to match with the paper. And that way, if I'm low, I can go ahead and order a few packs and I won't be disappointed by running out in the middle of a project. So aren't these colors fun? They're a little bit of classic Christmas colors and they're mixed in with some fresh colors too. This one's my favorite. It's real red. It's got white snowflakes on it. And then we have some snowmen with more glitter on it. So this paper comes in a 12 by 12 size. You get 12 sheets, so you'll get 2 of each pattern. And it's more than enough to make lots and lots of projects. So what we're going to start with today is a 4 1/4 by 11-inch sheet of real red cardstock. And I've scored it in half at 5.5 inches. And I'm going to take my bone folder and go ahead and fold that. And give it a nice good crease so that it stays nice and flat. Okay, then I'm going to take the snowflakes from the Snowman Season stamp set. And this stamp set is clear photopolymer. So what that means is I can see through it. You can see through it when you're stamping. You don't have to guess about where you're placing it, where you're inking. That really cuts down on your mistakes. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp all along the edge of this real red cardstock. And we only have to do the edge of it because the middle is going to get covered up by our piece of Whisper White and our DSP flags and pennants and our snowman. So there's no reason to, waste our ink and waste our time stamping the center of this card base. And I'm just going to go all around. And what I find easiest to do to get my snowflakes to go in different directions, I turn the paper rather than my stamp. I find it easier and it's faster. So almost done here. One last mark. Okay, there we go. So I have stamped the snowflakes all around that real red cardstock board or card base. Okay, so we've done that. Next up, I'm going to take my Whisper White card, a piece of Whisper White cardstock. Now this one, I used the Stitch Rectangles die on it and ran it through my die cutting machine. However, if you don't have the Stitch Rectangles dies, or you don't want them, or you don't have a die cutting machine, this is a 3 3/4 by 5-inch piece of Whisper White cardstock. I'm going to have all the measurements written down on my blog, so you don't have to write these down. You can just go back and look at it there. And I'll also have it in the description of the YouTube video once I upload this. So I went ahead and I have all my pieces cut out here. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp my snowman, and he's going to go on the lower right corner of my Whisper White piece. And we're going to use Memento Tuxedo Black ink. So ink him up nice and good. And I'm going to stamp him. Oh, there he is. He looks so happy. All right. Now we're going to stamp his arms. Now in the stamp set, they've got 2 little stick arms for him. So I'm going to ink those up also in Memento Tuxedo Black ink and stamp them on either side of his body. Okay, just like that. He's coming together nice. Yeah. All right, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I want to give my snowman a little bit of lift and a little bit of dimension. So I'm going to take a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock and I'm going to stamp my snowman again on the scrap piece. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the little hat that comes in the set and I'm going to stamp that also on a piece of Whisper White cardstock. Let me look at my punch here to see. Yeah, there we go. I want to make sure I'll be able to punch it out. So then we have a coordinating snowman builder punch that goes with the snowman season set, and it punches out the snowman that I just stamped. It also punches out a hat. It punches out little arms and a teeny tiny little nose for him. So what I do is I open up the punch, and I'll show you how to do that. They come locked and flat so you can store them nice and neat. There's a lever on the back to slide it up and it pops the punch open, and you flip the punch upside down so that when you slide in your paper, you can see exactly where you are going to be punching it, just like that. And I'm going to give it a squeeze and he's going to pop right out. Now I'm also going to punch out his hat too. And I'm going to line that up into my punch and give that a squeeze. Now, there is a trick that I'm going to show on my blog here in a couple of days on how to stamp everything so that it lines up perfectly with this punch. You could stamp his arms, his body, and his hat exactly where it needs to go on a piece of cardstock so that when you slide it into the punch, you can punch everything out in one go. That trick's coming up on my blog, and I will tell you it uses the stamp positioner that we have called the Stamparatus, or any other stamp positioner that you might have. It's a pretty neat trick. I didn't come up with it, but I saw somebody else, and I can't remember who. It's been ages, but it's really useful. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to put some dimensionals on the back of our little snowman, and I'm going to use 2 of them, and then just peel the liner paper off, and I'm going to stick him right on top of where I originally stamped him. So if you can see that, it gives him a little bit of lift. And the reason why we stamped his arms on there is because I didn't want to fuss with gluing the little arms on there. So it was easy. This card's about easy. This card's about making multiples. Christmas time, we need a lot of cards. So we need to keep it simple. And that was my way of doing it simple. So there we go with that. Now his hat I colored with Stampin' Blends. There it is. And I went ahead of time and I already colored his hat out for you so you didn't have to watch me color. But what I used to color his little hat was the dark basic black Stampin' Blends, the dark real red Stampin' Blends, and the dark shaded spruce Stampin' Blend. And these are our alcohol ink markers. And they blend beautifully. I absolutely love using them. I love shading with them. One of the biggest benefits is they don't leave marker lines. Sometimes when you color with markers, you can see the scribble lines exactly where you colored. You don't get that with the alcohol markers, the Stampin' Blends. Okay, so there he is with his little hat on. I used a mini Stampin' Dimensional to put his hat on too. So there he is. He's popping right up off the page, and he looks so happy. I love him. Now the next thing we're going to do is glue our little pennants and flags on there. But before I do that, these are all a 1/2 inch wide, but they're all different lengths. And I listed the lengths in my blog description. And I have 5 strips of each. You can see that on my finished card here. I'm going to flag the ends. So I'm just going to snip the ends and cut that out. Now, a trick for doing this. You have the length of your strip like this. Now what you can do is snip right up the middle lengthwise. Just give it a little snip in the middle and then snip from the corner to the top of that little cut. And it'll come out perfect every single time. Now the other thing you can do is if you happen to have a square punch, you can put the end of this strip of paper in the corner of your square punch and it will flag the end for you. That was another trick I had used for years. But with something small like this, I find it very easy and quick just to use my paper snips because the tip is super sharp. So it's really easy just to do it this way. Okay, so we have those. Then I'm going to take my multi-purpose glue and I'm going to start gluing these down. So we're going to lay them out. And you know what? It looks like I am missing one of my paper flags here. So I don't know. We're just going to go with it and work with what we've got here. I don't know where it went to. So we're going to put a little bit of glue down and I'm going to just adhere these down. So my original card, I cut out 5 strips. This one, since I can't find my 5th one, we're going to go with, oh, there it is. It was hiding. It blended into the background of my Stampin' mat here. So we're going to run a little strip down. So I hope everybody had a really good weekend this past weekend. We went to Hershey for the state cross country meet and had absolutely perfect weather. It was sunny. It was just the right amount of chilliness and it was exciting. It was fun being with the team. Our boys team made it from Eden and they did really well. They all ran PRs over what they ran last year. For some of them, it was their first time at states. And I mean, how can you go wrong going to Hershey too? We were seriously right across the parking lot from Chocolate World. So when we were done with the race, we walked over there and we took a tour of the factory and we got some chocolate. Now, this is amazing, but I only spent $23 at the chocolate factory. That's it. I thought I was going to spend a lot more than that, but you know what? I went over there and I wasn't hungry. And when I'm not hungry, nothing looks good to me. So I walked out of there with just a little bag. So there we go with our little flags. Aren't they cute? This is the best way to use up DSP scraps. I mean, we're always looking for ways to use them up. I even have a Pinterest board dedicated to just that, of how to use up your designer series paper scraps, because it's such a hot topic and nobody can throw them out. They feel bad because they're so pretty. Some people even have a hard time cutting into them, which I don't. I go ahead and I use it. That's what it's there for. All right, I'm sorry, it's getting a little darker out because it's getting overcast. It's about to rain here. Now I'm going to ink up Let It Snow in Coastal Cabana ink, and I'm going to stamp it just to the left of my snowman. This card's really coming together nice. Yeah. The last thing that we have to do really, oh, actually there's a couple more steps. We're going to glue this, we're going to wrap some Whisper White baker's twine around it. We're going to do this 3 times. All right, let's see if I can do this on the camera because I like to fuss with my bows and my ribbons. and to get them just right. And I know it's not the most exciting thing to watch somebody tie something, but I really don't know the secret to getting the perfect bow. I tie it and I kind of hold it down with my finger as I make the loops, and I pull everything through. And then what I do is I like to put my finger on the knot while I pull the strings to adjust the shape of the loops. And that seems to work good. All right, and then we're going to trim them. Sometimes you might want long tails, sometimes you might want short tails. In this case, I'm going to put them a little bit longer because I want to show you something. I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to curl the little ends of the twine, and it makes just like you curl ribbon for a gift packaging. So I'm going to put my thumb on the middle of the bow to hold it in place so that it doesn't come loose. And I'm just going to use my bone folder and I'm going to pull it to curl the twine. I'll do the second one and then I'll hold it up so you can see. Look at that. Isn't that the neatest little trick? It adds so much fun to this card. All right, and then because we have the twine on it, I'm going to adhere this to my card base with Stampin' Dimensionals. All right. Peel off all the little liners. If you ever have trouble peeling the little liners off of the back of the Stampin' Dimensionals, all you have to do is take your thumbnail, press it into the center of the dimensional, and it'll lift the edges of the liner, and you can pull it right off, nice and easy. All right, now I'm going to put that onto the center of my Real Red card base, and you have that. This is the cutest, easiest Christmas card. You could totally assembly line these for sure. Now, because the inside of this card base is dark, I like to put a liner in there. So I'm going to go ahead and glue a Whisper White liner inside of there. But before I do that, I'm going to stamp it. And the reason I stamp it before I glue it is in case I make a mistake. I can then flip it over because it's not adhered to the card already. I'm going to stamp Merry Christmas. And this is also from the Snowman season set. And it would help if I had it the right way. I almost stamped it upside down. I'm sure none of you have ever done that before. Then I'm going to take the snowflakes that I used earlier, and I got to stamp it off a little bit because there's still red on there. It's the same one that we stamped around the edge of our card base when we first started this card. This time I'm going to stamp them in Coastal Cabana and make sure all the red is off of there. It is. And I'm going to stamp it around the Merry Christmas, just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue it to the inside of my card. Run it along the outside edge with a multi-purpose liquid glue. Make sure you don't use too much because when you go to press the piece of paper down, it will ooze out the edge. So you only need a little skinny, thin line. It also will make your glue last longer too. All right, there you go. Let's see the tails. Yes, there it is, curly tails and all. Now, if you want to step this card up even more, you could put some rhinestones on there, either some silver ones, or you could use the Holiday Basics jewels. They come in Cherry Cobbler. There's Coastal Cabana in there, so you can scatter a few of those on there. You could also use the Snowfall Accents puff paints to add a little dimension to your snowman or put some snow around him. This stuff is seriously fun to use. It comes in a little bottle. You shake it, squeeze it out where you want it to go, and then use your heat tool on it, and you can just watch it puff up. It's magical. I used it on a wiggle worm card. I believe it was last week on one of the cloud images, and I posted a video there of how to use the puff paint. So those are two ways you could really step up this card if maybe you're only going to make a few of them. But even with the rhinestones, you could make multiples of this card and still add those because it's really quick to just pop them on with your take your pick tool and stick them on there. They already have the adhesive on them. So there you go. You have that Christmas card. I hope you like this card. As I said, I will have the dimensions on my blog, and I think I actually even wrote a tutorial for it. So on Thursday, I'm going to post this on the blog along with this replay. I'm also going to upload this to YouTube, and I'll have the measurements in the description to the video there. So if you need a catalog, feel free to email me at nicole@thejoyfulstamper.com. If you want to purchase any of the supplies I used today, you can shop at my online store, shopwithnicole.stampinup.net. And My blog is the hub for everything. So if all you remember is thejoyfulstamper.com, you're good, because you will find absolutely everything there. You can connect with me via my blog on social media. You can request a catalog through my form. You can shop my online store. You can leave a comment, because I would really like to hear from you. I want to connect with other stampers. I want to connect with you. I have fun with this. So I hope you enjoyed the demonstration today, and have a blessed day.